Hello, folks, and welcome to your Friday night Full Acid a Dream podcast. It is Halloween. No, I don't just dress up like this all the time. Tonight, on our spooky show, I've got two of my favourite podders. First of all, Calvin, long time no see, buddy.
Hi mate, thanks for being back on. Been a while, but at least for once we're winning. I'm used to be coming on and being defeated every week or picking up the draws, so we'll take it. Happy Halloween, guys.
Yeah, what is this winning thing, and can we do some more of this? And also, everybody's favourite, an OG to the show, Kenny. How are you, buddy?
I'm all right, mate. I feel like my head is decidedly underdressed for this. With you two lads there with your things on, I'll just stay bald. You look good, Andrew. I like your style. I think it's very nice, very cool.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I thought I'd go to a wee bit of an effort tonight to coincide with my troubles getting on to StreamYard tonight. Just perfect. But we're here now. Thanks for joining us. I've seen the comments coming in. Thanks for joining us tonight. A bit of discussion post Easter Road and, of course, pre-Old Firm. Calvin, we'll just start at our victory in the capital. We looked at it beforehand, all the media and Sky beforehand talking about Hibs being undefeated at Easter Road for as long as I think it was a year. We had to work for it. I think that's fair to say, but that takes character. And if you told me 1-0 beforehand, I would have taken it.
Yeah, 100%. It was a tough game. Not going to beat around the bush. We weren't amazing, but we did the hard thing, the simple things well. They worked hard as a team. They hunted in packs. They made the big tackles. We took the goal and had the chance. A little bit disappointed with some of the lack of chances we created, but we got the 3 points and we defended really well. I enjoyed Giga's performance. I thought he was putting his body on the line. The block at the start, he was aggressive in the tackle. Connor Barn really shone for me. He was up and down the park everywhere. He was a total wee dog in the middle of the park. It was good to watch. And it was good to see the team actually fight for each other. Like I've seen in the last few months, they've been very isolated. When somebody gets a tackle against them, there's not much pressure from the team, but instant changes. It was like there was a proper work ethic to the team. So that's what I really enjoyed watching. So we'll take it, and I think it's something to build upon.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so. Kenny, obviously, it was Danny Rohl's second league match as the Rangers head coach. Another win. Obviously, he was quick to mention today in his press conference how he would have liked a redo of his first game, obviously the Brand defeat. But I think we can forgive him for that one with how we've started in the domestic competitions at least.
Yeah, of course, because he had virtually no time at all with him. Heading over to Norway last week, literally no time, and kept a very similar formation to previously, and it bit us in the backside, didn't it? And we were really poor, and I thought you could see the lack of confidence and stuff like that last Thursday. And when you look at it now, a week down the line, 2 wins in the league, can't ask for any more than that. A comfortable win on Sunday, and a tough but deserved win on Wednesday night. I thought we were the better side over the piece, just about shaded it. It was a tough game, as Calvin said, but you can't ask for any more than that at this minute in time. The players are clearly have been really, really low in confidence, and to pick up on what Calvin said about the lack of commitment, thought you could see that a lot last Thursday. The heads went down and they weren't fighting for each other. You've seen that big time change on Wednesday night. They were going hammer and tong for each other, which is kind of what we needed to see. We've been crying out for it all season, and I thought they were. For me personally, I came on right after the game, after match, and I was buzzing about it and it was more about the commitment and the effort and the getting the 3 points than the performance for me. The performances will come if you can get the 11 working together, and there's definitely signs that that's going to happen, and there's shoots of growth already. So bring it on.
Calvin, we talked about this when the manager was appointed, that it wasn't going to look superb, straight away. It wasn't going to look like he'd been here forever, and we were a well-oiled machine. It was going to take time to kind of find the positives and negatives, work in them, shape, have him kind of implement his style, his use of hybrid players, which I really like him talking about. You could see that in the squad that went up with your Magoma movement. Obviously, Aaron's in there as well, with Cornelius or Juga kind of backline, and the way the team kind of shuffled about. But obviously, Kilmarnock game beforehand, we kind of added a bit of the offence to our kind of whatever we want to call us pre-Danny Rohl. But not last night, in the capital, obviously it was more of a defensive display. We really can take the positives from. I thought there was a strength to us which we wouldn't have had. I think we would have folded in that game if it was pre-Danny Rohl. I think under Russell Martin, ironically, even though we won it at the Ibrox against Hibs, when you're holding that 1-goal lead, I think we would have crumbled.
Yeah, but I think that's the big thing. If you listen to anybody that talks about Danny Rohl, he makes his teams hard to beat. The out of possession stuff that he gets drilled into the teams very early, that's what he's really good at. And he's not had a lot of time in the training pitch with these guys. There have been 3 games already. He's been in the door just over a week. That says a lot about what he can deliver in short spaces. Once he gets a chance to work on the training pitch, we're moving the ball forward. That's when we'll start to see that click. But first and foremost, be hard to beat. We're leaking goals. I know I've had points about we're not creating chances, which then puts us under pressure that we leak goals. But we're doing the simple things well right now. And I think that's what he's implementing. Cut out the mistakes they're making. Win the ball far up the park. Apply pressure in the right areas. And the chances will come over long term. But when we need to defend, it's backs against the wall. Commit yourselves. Fight for each other. Go in for the tackles. Win the headers. And that's what they're doing. So I'm happy with that. We've not got a lot of time in the training pitch. That's all we can really ask for now. And we're still getting 3 points.
Kenny, a quick one. When Butland makes that penalty save, were you as happy and energetic as Dino's dad was for the 90 minutes? Because I certainly was trying to match him as best I could. But, I mean, I don't think I can celebrate like Dino's dad.
No one's as energetic as Danilo's dad, man. Look at that. That was just brilliant. It was cracking to watch, and you'll have seen the stuff where in the car with Stevie and stuff like that. It's fantastic. He's just buzzing, isn't he? And it's been very funny. But was I as energetic as that? No, mate. Absolutely no chance. But I was bouncing about my living room, but not for 90 minutes the way he was. But it's, the save itself is. I said it again on Wednesday. I had a funny feeling he was going to save it. I don't know why. You know, that way you just get that feeling sometimes. Who's going to save this? But aye, massive save for us, because I must admit, when the penalty initially was given and your heart sinks, doesn't it? You think, oh no, we've put that much into it and we're going to lose a goal with a couple of minutes to go and end up dropping 2 points, when I didn't think we deserved to drop the 2 points because of the way we had defended. But Big Jack. Somebody actually said, I don't know if that's true, somebody said to me he's saved 7 of his last 8 penalties. Is that right?
I think it was 6 and 7.
6 and 7. That's incredible, actually.
Before the Celtic penalty shootout, like, his record was terrible. So it's something that he's clearly worked on. I don't know if it's like the new goalkeeping coach has made a big difference, but confidence-wise, he looks assured when that ball goes down, which is massive. And he's a keeper with presence, so it makes a difference. If he's confident, he's doing the right studying. Confident every time it happens against him.
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant save as well. He gets down really quickly, and not the best of penalties, but still got to save it. You still got to go right. And I noticed he said that, didn't he? Like, he did his homework. Mentioned last season as well with him, and did his homework, and had a funny feeling just putting it there again.
Yeah, almost a year to the day for McGrath at Aberdeen. But again, it's penalty shootouts nowadays. It's especially when it's in one of those kind of competitions where it comes down to penalties, not even just your penalties in open play, where it's cup on the line, or in Europe as it was last season for us. You know, it's the luck of the draw, but long may it continue for Super Jack. That being said, with the cup mentioned there, Sunday's Old Firm, it's been a strange kind of feeling this week, Calvin. I got asked about it in my work by a colleague on Monday, and he said, "How are you feeling?" And I went, I really don't know, because at that point in time, I'm thinking game at a time. Let's see what happens post Hibs. And even now, I'm still the same. I couldn't tell you how I see this one going. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, it's a strange one. I think it's the first time both Old Firm teams have gave up their manager in the middle of the season, which is quite a mental statistic. But in general, normally one team would be pulling away, so I suppose it's less mental than what you think. It's a strange one. We were probably a lot more confident when Rodgers was in charge, because they were a sinking ship and we were starting to get a bit of composure about us. Listen to what a few of their fans have got to say. Their performance during the week, everything was moving up the park faster. But the way we are set up, I'm confident we can defend. And as long as we've got the right attitude and we put the right commitment into the game, I'm confident in us. We seem to have that wee bit of drive in us. Whereas I think there's still some questions to be answered. It's an Old Firm game. It always can go down to the day, but I'm taking a Rangers win as much as I can go into it just now, because we don't know how they're going to turn up as well as we're going to turn up at stages, especially the starting 11s. So, tricky one.
Aye, Kenny, it's one of these where even if you want to look at the form chart, I mean, especially this season, the game at Ibrox, I mean, under Russell Martin as well, we got by. It was a rather boring game as a whole. Obviously the disallowed goal, but apart from that, it's a different ball game when you're in the cup comps, because although I wanted to talk about the previous game, form and lead up all kind of goes out the window with this kind of matchup. Seen it before that both teams, as you'd expect, they manage to get up for it regardless of how they're doing. They'll obviously trying to carry on this bounce from bringing in O'Neill and obviously Maloney, ourselves with Danny Rohl, and he was preaching it together on this after the full time whistle. It's one of these we just need to get behind the team and see what happens, because it's just the classic case of when the whistle goes, we just need to take it as it goes. It's really difficult to say yes or no how you see it going. I got asked for a prediction today at work and I couldn't give one. It just feels like we're on this knife edge at the minute and it could go either way.
Aye, it's one of those kind of weird scenarios where two brand new managers, not really sure how either team's going to set up actually for Sunday. Neither of them been particularly in good form at all, and it's a kind of weird one to call, because you'd look at this normally and say, right, well, our record against them over the last year or so has been really good, but our record at Hampden against them is bollocks. So if you actually kind of add it all up, you kind of go, yeah, I'm right back round in a circle, given it I don't know how it's going to go. I think we're due turning up and playing and getting the result at Hampden. The last one, I think, was, if I remember right, was the cup final last year, wasn't it? And didn't deserve to lose that. We all know what happened there, and let's hope the officials do their jobs properly this Sunday, because they didn't do it right the last time we played them there. But again, it's just one of those things that I would look at it, and I'm more interested in what we do than what they do. I've got to be honest. I couldn't care less what they do, and with their new manager, a 73-year-old Martin O'Neill. I mean, to me, it's bonkers actually them doing that. Then that could come back and bite me in the backside. I understand that, but I do actually find that a kind of really bizarre thing to do. Bring a guy that's not been in management. I know he was a manager 6 years ago, but it's actually really about 10 years since he's properly managed a team. I think that was in Republic of Ireland. I could be wrong, but for me, it's about what we do. How are we going to set up? Are we going to play with the three at the back again? I'm not sure we will. I don't know if we will. I genuinely have no idea what he's going to do. But I like the fact that we've got options for the game. I think we can play with 3, 4, or 5. I think we can play with 2 up top. I think we can really surprise them. I noticed that David Gray, the Hibs manager, before the game the other night, actually said that. No idea what they're really going to do. And I'm hoping that kind of the newness of everything of Danny Rohl, and the fact that he is so flexible kind of helps us. But But if I was to stick my neck out, I actually quite fancy us, and I don't know why. And I hate fancying us this early, because I tend to wake up on Sunday morning giving it a go, we're doomed. And you just don't know. It's just one of those things that I've had a wee sneaky, not a confidence. I don't mean all of that. I've just had a wee sneaky feeling over the last few days that I think we'll be all right, and we'll be very, very much in the game for the 90 or the 120 minutes. I'm pretty certain that we're going to give a decent account of ourselves.
Just before we continue on, I just want to bring this. I'm here as Ted Lasso this evening, folks. Not Marlon Neal, not the Village people, which I gave me a chuckle internally. Just Ted Lasso is my costume for this year. Starting to regret it now. Folk thinking I look like Martin O'Neill. That's never a compliment. Calvin, obviously, as Kenny's alluded to, our flexibility has been, admirable over these two games. Obviously, Kilmarnock at home and Hibs away. Personnel plays into that. Obviously, as you mentioned earlier, Connor Barron, he looked like he was having one of those games where he's just going to win everything. The other night, and with the yellow he picked up previous in the competition, he's also now suspended for this game on Sunday, which to me is a big loss, especially with that kind of performance. That's what you were hoping to see from Connor Barron. That's kind of this is the positives you hope you see in his game to match alongside his partners, and obviously in the shape you want a bit of dig. We talked about it, I think it was a discussion in the chat about you would have played Barron ahead of Diamande in that game at Hibs for that extra dig. I suppose the ball is now into Diamande or Rothwell's court ahead of the weekend as to, I suppose, the training is show me what you've got, because it's obviously up for grabs. Firstly, the loss of Connor, and then where do you see us kind of going in terms of replacement, over Diamande, or are you going Rothwell? What's your thoughts on that extra space in the midfield now?
I think based on Wednesday night, it is a big loss of Barron because he was a standout player. He kind of set the tone in a lot of things. But in these games, I quite like Diamande. Playing against Celtic is normally like a more European situation, and that's where Diamande tends to bring out his best performances. I think he's quite good at picking up space. He picks up the right men. He's calm on the ball. He is prone to a wee niggle, picking up a wee foul or a yellow card. But in general, I think Diamande's suited to these type of games. He's quick with the ball at his feet. His decisions are very fast. And I said he picks up ground really well. So I'm not too kind of concerned about Diamande being in that team. It's how he suits into a shape that Danny Rohl's going to put out there. The 3-4-3 might not be his best suited to. Not for me, he's better suited to a midfield three. And that's where the difference could come. Rothwell might be a better option in terms if it goes down that route. But in terms of the type of game that it is, I'd be quite happy with Diamande. I think it's suited to him for me.
Kenny, staying on the Dio and Rothwell decision, I mean, ironically, if Barron isn't suspended after the game on Wednesday night, I don't think Raskin gave himself a really good account of himself. Compared to Connor, I think he maybe gets off with this game. Obviously, we know how good Nico can be, but we need him to be his best, especially if it's going to be with a different partner on Sunday. Are you thinking similar to Calvin with it? You think Dio can handle it? You think it's maybe a game where Rothwell can show what he is supposed to be as a player? I know we're kind of waiting for his kind of highlight moment so far, at least I am so far. But where are you on the Rothwell and Diamande situation?
Well, first things first, mate. I didn't realise you'd came as Ted Lasso. I thought you came as one of those wanky American golfers, to be honest. But there you go. Shows you what I know. I'm actually in total agreement with Calvin. I'm starting Diamande for a couple of reasons. He always seems to do all right in these games, as you've said, Calvin, mate. But for another reason is he hates them. You can tell he really doesn't like them. As people, I think more than anything else, when he's on the pitch, you can tell he really has no time for them, and he just seems to be that little bit more fired up and a little bit more on his game for a game against them. So that's why I'm having him in my team. As long as he can temper that and control it, I think he'll be absolutely spot on. And I'm a big fan of Mo Diamandi, and I know he's incredibly frustrating for a lot of folk because there's games where he just doesn't turn up, and you can see the talent and think, go and bloody use it, son. And he doesn't a lot of the time, and I get that. But for me, I don't think it's necessarily a game for Rothwell because I just don't think he's shown enough. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't think he's shown anywhere near what's required to be a Rangers player as yet. And the fact that he seems to only be able to last 60 minutes as well, he'll be flat out in the first 45 minutes and he'll be done. And I don't see the need for it. Use him as a sub if needed later on in the game. But midfield's key. We know that. And just as a little bit of a curveball, in there, we've had Asgard in there. But we've seen a couple of times Nadim Bayrami play Callum McGregor really, really well. And that is an option as well for me in terms of the way we're going to set up in the midfield. Because I'm a big believer in that with most games, but particularly that game. Midfield's where you win and lose these games. And if you can control the middle of the park, you've got a great shout. But Mo Diamandi for me. And you're right, actually. Raskin had a pretty poor game on Wednesday, but I thought his work rate in the last half hour was absolutely phenomenal, actually. Not so much on the ball, but more off the ball. The amount of power of work that he did I thought was brilliant. And it was more just filling in those spaces that you need to do. You need to do the dirty work and the donkey work, and I think he done it. And he's not going to get much praise for that because it doesn't look so flashy, is it? But Connor Barron will be a bit of a miss for me on Sunday.
Seeing Leo Cameron's name being thrown about in the chat, I think Leo Cameron's a really, really good player. I think we've seen good spells from him early in the season. I mean, and that is a rarity because he was under Russell Martin at that point in time. I think you're waiting to see how he can operate in this rule system. I think, is it too much of a gamble to throw him into an old firm when he hasn't had a lot of minutes so far under the new manager? But I think even as an impact sub, at least his energy, his work rate, Calvin, just quickly on Lyle Cameron, a player that I think we've seen what we'd saw at Dundee, and in terms of taking some time to adjust. I think at least under Russell Martin, that wasn't exactly the case. I think he kind of hit the ground running, which is so important for Scottish players coming into our team.
Yeah, he's a tidy player and he's effective in what he does. But if he's picked up a few injuries already this season. We need players that are ready to go in for this game big time. I know you get carried through with the old firm with the kind of adrenaline that goes through you, but there's players that have been playing a lot more often. Cameron definitely has the assets that we could use. I think he could be more effective off the bench in a game less where the legs are a bit more tired and you're needing that energy. And he can go forward, he can pick a pass, he can score goals. He's proved that at Dundee. And it might be something we deep into about 60 minutes into the game when the legs are starting to go. But I think there's players in there that are just more suited to come in for the very start, like Diamandi if he's partnering up with Raskin. And if we are going with the two in midfield, I think we just kind of that solidity with those two. I think Cameron's a bit more, he can operate out wide and go beyond. We're looking for a bit more structure at that stage. So that's kind of why I would go with Diamandi over a Cameron.
That's fair, yeah. I think it was just worth touching on, especially with seeing a lot of praise going Leo Cameron's way in the comments, which I think is completely fair. Kenny, we were all buzzing with Yusuf Chamiti opening his account for Rangers against Kilmarnock. I think it was maybe just sheer relief more than anything. But he doubles up in terms of goal involvements and gets an assist on a Danilo double, which 2 in 2 games, obviously. Speak to me about those two. Obviously being, Chamiti being the kind of, I don't want to say divisive figure, but obviously with the £10 million fee looming over his head, not the best start to his Rangers career. Obviously, a lot more of that heading towards Thelwell's way in terms of the anger from the support, and then equally, you're bringing Danilo in from the cold in Danny Rohl's point of view and getting an impact from him. I think it's first of all, it's a massive positive in both counts. But even just the way that they've started to work off each other in the two games, well, mostly at Easter Road, but both them hitting a kind of, I'd say, purple patch, but it's hard to tell with both of them so far. But positive steps in the right direction for both of them.
100%, yeah, because I think that you can look at the second half when Danilo goes off and Gassama comes on, and the partnership wasn't there with the two of them at all. Gassama wasn't in the same spaces that Danilo was getting into. And I must admit, I thought that I think Danilo's had 2 shots and 2 goals in 2 games. It's phenomenal. And his goal on Wednesday's a peach. It's an absolutely lovely finish. It's just that wee shift. You know, you'll know that wee shift a foot to give himself all the time in the world just to stroke it away in the corner. It was a cracker. But Chermiti really impressed me on Wednesday, I've got to be honest. And I thought his work rate more than anything else it was that impressed me. I mean, is he the finished article? No, he's nowhere near it. Is he going to score you 25, 30 goals a season? It doesn't look like it. But I'll tell you what, fair play to the big man. It was a balls out performance, if you get me, where he just worked his backside off and really did put a shift in for the team. And I think his teammates will really appreciate that, the amount of work and running that he was doing. And as I say, he's a bit clumsy looking sometimes because he's that big, tall guy. And, you know, if his touch is just slightly off, he's going to look awful and stuff like that. But there's a player in there, actually. I'm pretty convinced there is a player in there. I don't think there's any doubt in that. But you're right, Calvin. It's not so much about the boy himself. If the boy came here for 2-3 million quid, nobody's going to bat an eyelid, and he's going to get all the patience in the world. It's because of the price tag. And I've actually asked on here before that we kind of don't think about the price tag too much because it's no fair on the kid. He is literally, I think he's just 22. He's a young boy trying to make his way in the game, and it's going to be really, really tough trying to make your way in the game and what is effectively a piss poor Rangers start to the season, where the pressure's going to be on you. And I'm a wee bit like Stevie said last week when people were giving it, because he did a bit of that. I love that. Bring it on. I have no issue with that at all. If we're going to give him dogs abuse, he's got every right to turn and go get it round you. And he has. So I don't know. I just think it's one of those things that for Sunday's game, it'll be really interesting if he starts with Chermiti or if he goes with one and back to a different, that slightly different shape. But I hope he doesn't. I hope he plays him and Danilo. I think there's a proper partnership there. And again, to talk about the third striker there, I don't think Miovski's done enough to merit a start on Sunday either. So, Danilo's scored 2 and 2, and Big Chermiti scored and assisted in the last 2. So I think Miovski's going to find it hard to get in there. But it will depend on what Danny Rohl kind of decides to do. Does he play with one in there and 2 wide? Or is he going to play with that 3-4-3 where it's going to be that a lot narrower, if you know what I mean? It'll be interesting, but that's what I would do. I'd actually play the 2 of them.
Calvin, I think the 2 of them definitely, at least in the early stages at Easter Road, were zipping about the place. I think it's hard to slag off a player when you see them working really hard. And I think Chermiti, and as Kenny says, because he's all limbs, when the small things don't go right, it looks awful just with the way that the ball tries to stick to him. But he's trying really hard. You can see that, especially with Danilo as well. In his case, he always had that kind of, I can cover yards, I can press, I can drop deep into space to link up play. I think the 2 of them, if you can get them in that kind of chemistry, kind of bond they seem to have, especially from their celebration together, they seem to be able to work off each other quite well so far. For me, it's more the same. I think you keep them together. How are you feeling on it?
You don't change a winning team, pretty much. They're obviously, it's a hard statement to make because we made quite a few changes the other day, but I think in general, you need to try and keep as much of the spine together as we can. The biggest thing we felt for the start of the season was there was bodies too far away from each other, and that's why we weren't getting up the park so well. We've now got a system that allows us to hunt in packs, press into the right areas, win the ball back further up the park, which makes it so much easier. We're not playing 100 passes from centre back to centre mid to centre back to full back. That's the big difference. I know we didn't create a lot of chances, but we've been very effective when we've had them. So if I'd keep the same front line, potentially Gassama, Mikey Moore, they can argue. I thought Mikey Moore actually grew into the game a lot the other night, but Danilo's had his 2 goals have been very good finishes. He's been committing players. Miovski, for me, at the start of the season, was giving the ball away far too much, and that's what was breaking down a lot of the chances. He's known as a striker that gets in behind. We aren't going to get that most weeks, and that's where he's probably going to struggle. So at the weekend, I would keep the same front line. Chermiti, Gassama, that's a dilemma, but with terms of Danilo and Chermiti, that's what I'd be looking at. Mikey Moore, Gassama can swap depending how the team lines up, depending where he sees the strengths and where we're going to press. But as long as we get up the park and we keep bodies close and they're not dragged away 30, 40 yards away from each other, that was the big thing when it came to Miovski at the start of the season. Nobody near him for 20, 30 yards. Danilo's getting close to Chermiti. They're linking up. The third striker can then get in play. The fullbacks then come forward. Like Magoma had a great game, being involved. So similar to you, same team in terms of that front two.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Calvin. Obviously, with this being a cup semi-final, 1 win puts you a step closer to the first piece of silverware available this season, Kenny. We've had a pretty rocky road to get here. Some of the bumps are starting to smooth out, I think it's fair to say. But, I mean, there's still a long way to go in the league. I think obviously we had to get points on the board. Danny Rohl's first few press conferences, he talked about winning games in a row, which he 2 from 2 in the league domestically, which is a fair start, especially with Easter Road away there. And again, we're not going to go ahead, I'm not going to give you a massive spiel and say it's done, we're going to win this ahead of a ball being kicked. I'm not like that. But if Rangers, if they were to win on Sunday, it feels like it's a massive boost to what is already a kind of turning support and starting us to get all this togetherness that Danny Rohl was kind of preaching with his celebrations in the away end the other night. I think this boost would push us exactly where we want to be with, stacks of time left in this domestic season. With obviously a final that would be ahead of us. It would be massive for us as a whole, not just from the one singular game. Obviously, I know Firm's always massive, but looking at the bigger picture for the season as it's been so far and as it could be ahead of that, a win would be huge for us.
It's about momentum for us, mate, isn't it? That's what it's about. Let's not get carried away with ourselves too much because we've only just won 2 games in a row for the first time this season, and it's November tomorrow. So if we can get to 3 in a row, that would be an actual little bit of a ball rolling. So, yeah, that's all we can do, mate, is take 1 game at a time. It's what Danny Rohl said when he got here, wasn't it? He said that, it's 1 game at a time for us at the moment, and we just have to turn around and get a run of wins together. Where the cup semi-final on Sunday is massive because they're not in a decent run of form, and I know they beat Falkirk 4-0 the other day, and that's good for them, right? But if we were to beat them on Sunday, it really does put the pressure on them because that will be them not winning that first trophy of the season. They're a distance between behind Hearts. So are we, don't get me wrong, but we're only 5 points behind them, and if we could just match them and wait for them to drop points, which I am absolutely convinced that Celtic are going to do all season, by the way. I just don't think they're a particularly good Celtic side at all. They will drop points. So if we can get that momentum and we're there or thereabouts come the new year, when we're, I think it's just before the new year, actually, the next game against them is, And if you were going to take 3 points off of them, all of a sudden you are right back in this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not dismissing Hearts. Hearts are sitting at the top of the league for a reason, but we'll see how they go throughout the course of the season, because now is that point when just about every team is going to start playing 2 games a week. And that's where we'll see how Hearts cope, because they've had no Europe so far this, where Rangers and Celtic have had a lot of European games. Now they're going to match us in the amount of games that they're playing, more or less. I know we've got a couple of European games, but more or less they're going to match us. And I expect Hearts to drop plenty of points as well, I've got to be honest. So they'll be ahead of us for months yet, lads. Let's not kid ourselves, because they are going to be ahead of us for a long time yet. And we've got a catch-up job to do. And I did notice there's a Motherwell fan in the comment section saying the one thing he would say is that if they do get to the final, and good luck if you do get to the final, fair play to you, but good luck for tomorrow. But he's saying, Rangers fans don't underestimate us. It must be his first time on here, mate, because we've not underestimated anybody all season. We're in no position to underestimate any team. We've won 2 league games all season, buddy, and we are fully aware of where we're at this moment in time, and it's small baby steps that we're having to take at the minute, and try to build this football team and try to build the confidence and, as we say, the momentum in it. So, yeah, be interesting to see who wins that tomorrow. Actually, that other semi.
I don't want to push our Motherwell fan away from the comments, but we both are in and around Paisley, Kenny, so I have to say that although I try not to pick any other team, obviously I don't care other season, but someone are slightly pipping that debate tomorrow. But back to, most importantly, our team. Calvin, Danny Rohl today in the press conference mentioned character. It was a kind of buzzword for him. But it's been a buzzword for us the last few seasons in terms of one of our pet peeves with players and questioning their character at times. I think obviously with the way the turnaround is going, it's hard to. I think you even mentioned it would take maybe 6 games to kind of analyse how it's been so far. But a boost tomorrow, it's not tomorrow, boost on Sunday with a win, you would really start to hope these questions will slowly get put to the side as we continue to just play our football, take it a game at a time. It's one of these things. It's the buzzword that we throw out when we're getting beat. I'd be quite happy to put it back on the shelf, and we don't talk about character if we go on a nice run of games where we're just playing good football. Character's a word I'd like to see the end of, Calvin, but it does take it for a game like Sunday.
Yeah, but I think this is one of the games we've never really questioned it, because it's one we tend to perform in. It tends to be the lesser sides where they do seem to struggle with their character. You've seen at Hibs, there's definitely a bit more of a fight in the team. They're fighting for each other. As I said earlier, when bad tackles were going, it used to be one man would be standing there and they wouldn't really be committed against it. They're hounding teams now. They're in there like a pack of dogs, and that's what we've missed. That fighting spirit, us against the world sees mentality. They're starting to show it, but games against Celtic, it's never really been an issue for them over the last 12 to 24 months. They tend to show up and put in a lot of effort, a lot of fight. So I never really tend to judge their character on this one, because it's where they've turned up, mostly in Europe, Celtic, Cup final semis. That's when they tend to show their main cards. So I wouldn't be worried about the character for the team on Sunday, because the players know what it means. The manager certainly knows what it means. So all ships are a go. I won't be judging them in character, because I'm confident they'll show up.
Yeah, as I think we were talking about Diamande earlier, and we're saying he does seem to turn up in the kind of European games. Old Firms is definitely a game he turns up in. That's that kind of style where he seems to thrive in. I think it's the same. I'm hoping it's the same with Nico, as we kind of touched on earlier. Kenny, I was one thing I did the math on the other night, is that if you put David Gray's age and Danny Rohl's age together, you get Martin O'Neill's age. The media were quick to mention that the difference in age between Danny Rohl and Martin O'Neill. I think the way that Danny has been handling some of these questions, and he certainly did today, I think he's handling it like he's been and had to deal with the Scottish media for a while. He's handling it like a real all-time pro, which I enjoy seeing. And the best thing about it, I'm saying, is there's a smile on his face, which, I mean, comparing it to press conferences under the previous manager, it did feel like you were getting gaslit at times. And I said that on the show, and it was no word of a lie. I felt like he was telling me something completely different to what I was seeing, and it was my fault for that. Whereas I think just the way that he's holding himself in these press conferences, it makes it difficult not to get right behind him.
Yeah, you're right. On the last head coach that we had, the last press conference I was at was the Genk one, where they roasted us 1-0, missed a penalty. The boy that was at Celtic before had about 6 clear-cut chances, and the maniac walked in and turned in and told us all that they didn't carve us open all night. And I had to sit with my head down and look at Stephen, and I'm like, what is going on with this maniac? An absolute lunatic to turn on it. First thing he said, and you're like, no, I'm sorry, no. But Danny Rohl has dealt with this with an ease that I'm quite impressed with, I've got to say. Far better than Martin O'Neill coped with his comment on TalkSport with. Didn't cope with that very well. Did you see that for a 73-year-old wily old man? Didn't cope with it at all. No. You did say it, but it's been clocked by the whole country. And to be fair to him, it's a flipping comment in a talk radio show, TalkSport. But I would have been saying that when you're 5 points behind Celtic. How can you turn on and be that flippant? And I don't mean to be rude about Martin O'Neill at all here, but that is a really flippant comment that if we go and beat them on Sunday, we'll bite them right in the backside, won't it? Because you've been really flippant about Rangers, and and he's been doing that for a long time. I've noticed in the media he's been really quite, I'm not saying disrespectful because I don't think it's that, but he's been really dismissive about Rangers. Maybe with good reason. I think we've been quite dismissive about some things as well, to be fair. But Danny Rohl has really impressed me from the minute he's turned up. I've got to say, I was not convinced at all. You guys would know that. But I wasn't convinced. But the look on his face when they're asking him what you can clearly tell as a media trained guy when he can see bollocks this question, and he's just going to bat it off really, really quickly, and he does it with aplomb, and he does it with a smile on his face, as you say, Andrew. He's been really quite clever about it, and I can't remember what the question was, but he basically told him, cup semi-final, you either win or you don't, basically. And you're like, very good. That's don't give them anything, and that's exactly what he did. Whereas, as I say, they all fill it across the city. He'll give them plenty. I mean, the first one that he did when he first arrived was, you look like a 12-year-old young man. You're like, oh, dearie me, you're patronising old sod. I mean, it's just Martin O'Neill for you, and people will like him, and he'll rub certain people up the wrong way, like me, because I can't be doing them, and never ever did like him.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these interesting things where you have the experience of them as he was there before, Calvin. This is uncharted waters for me in my lifetime, and definitely I didn't think I would ever expect to see him back taking at least interim charge across the city. But I mean, the comments that Danny was making today, he certainly had his head in the right place. Excited about the game. Mentioning it was all or nothing. As it was the phrase, as you said, as Kenny was saying, all or nothing. We're in the final, or we're out. It's like, simplify it. It's a one-game shootout in this competition. It will be a media circus, obviously, both the kind of manager changes, but we just need to do our job in the 90 or the 120 minutes. I think that's, regardless of how big the occasion is, we just need to simplify it down to 90 or 120 minutes of football.
Yeah, I think he's handled it really, really well. Like, as you said, he's kept it simple. He's not giving them anything. He's building a bit of self-belief among the fans as well. We're buying into him. I was one of the ones that kind of was like, I'm not too fussed at him being here. I think it's a good appointment. But I think he's shown it really quickly why people did believe that and why he was getting the good press down south. He's a clear professional. You can tell he's been at big clubs before. And I think that's something you don't tend to see coming up this way. You can see he's been at Bayern Munich. He's been the German national team. He handles the media very, very well. He does all the professional things. I think that's a big thing. He's just been a really good professional manager. And it doesn't tend to happen. He's not doing the sound bites. He's just keep it simple, get 3 points up the road. We win when we went to the final. All the things we want to hear as fans, but all the things the team needs to hear. He's not bothered about the opposition that much. He's dealing with in-house stuff first. So roll on Sunday for me. I'm confident. I'm on the Danny Rohl train.
The Danny Rohl train keeps on rolling. Just before we wrap it up, just want to say a quick thank you to everyone tuning in tonight. Some good numbers tuning in live, and also to anyone listening back as live. Thank you for spending your time with us. I think a big thank you to my two guests. It's been an interesting one tonight. It's back in the hot seat. I have been absolutely shaking today with the thought of this, but I cannot thank you both enough for it. First of all, Calvin, cheers, buddy, for coming on and lending us your wit and your thoughts for the head of this weekend's football.
Thanks, it's always a pleasure, and it's nice to be on after a few wins rather than a disappointing defeat. So we'll take it this time and roll on Sunday.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Also, a massive thank you to Kenny for coming on tonight. It's nice when we talk about wins, because a lot of the pods we were doing a couple of months back were definitely not positive. Although it certainly wasn't for the lack of trying, Kenny. But yeah, cheers. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
No, thanks, mate. And Ted Lasso, something I've not watched. I'll need to go and watch it, mate. But yeah, did you watch the Stranger Things trailer? Looks good, doesn't it?
Yep, folks, just as with tangents from football, it's very important to mention Stranger Things. We were talking about this in our group chat. The Stranger Things trailer looks incredible. But I mean, that's for our separate TV and film podcast, Kenny. I think we need to start brainstorming about.
Talk about it for 5 minutes. No, seriously, mate. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, Calvin. Really enjoyed that. Brilliant stuff.
I think the Rangers Stranger Things poster for the weekend looked better as well, to be honest, though.
Stranger Things. Oh God, I just tangent completely away from wrapping up to talking about our favourite TV shows, but I'm here for it. Last but not least, folks, just a quick push for the membership for the show, the extra show, to get us back as live without ads. Some extra podcasts, some extra shows. We've had First and Favourites, Davey Haird's Brainchild. We've had some extra specials with some stars from the past to the jails, and some extra content definitely coming ahead. As always, your support on that is terrific, and we cannot thank you enough for it. QR code up there in your top corner if you want to take up that for £1 a month. It's a nice wee extra content boost for you. But until next time, big weekend ahead, and I hope your team wins. So until next time, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. See you later.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.